I grew up in a family of 6 and absolutely adored my dad. I loved it when we would play together in the garden. When I was quite young, I realized that he didn't seem to replicate that love on the same level. He became very physically abusive towards everyone in the family, and even towards our pets. I felt helpless as it continued to happen for years on end. I really felt unloved and rejected, with no anchors of stability around me to keep me grounded. I wanted to be saved from my situation. When I was about 22, I found God, and I thought that was it. I wouldn't have to face this anymore. But my suffering didn't come to an end. I was so used to it that I accepted the love I thought I deserved. Every day I was so fearful as I went from one abusive relationship to another, and eventually my marriage. I thought I loved him, but I was so afraid of the times we were together because I'd often end up being kicked down the stairs. I was trapped because despite the abuse, I was more afraid of the thought of being vulnerable and without any kind of security. And I couldn't turn to the church because I didn't believe in God's love for me. Over the years, a few things happened within my family that impacted me even more. When my nieces were at school, they opened up about the abuse my dad had inflicted, which ended up in his arrest. This gave me the courage to speak up about my own experience. But my family just turned against me and threw me out. I tried to see my mum in the midst of this, but the way my dad had controlled her meant I never had the chance to see her before she died. I truly felt like there was nothing left for me. It took about 18 years for things to change. 18 years for me to finally be free. God started to place Christians back into my life, and I knew that now was the time to get out of this. I'd been quiet for too long. I plucked up the courage yet again to speak out, this time about my husband. He was arrested and ordered to stay away from me. And I came back to God and came back to church. I'm so grateful for that moment, because although it was difficult to delve into my past and reflect on the abuse in my life, I slowly began to feel God's love, see his grace and forgiveness. It was so important for me to establish that relationship, because it meant I could finally forgive my dad just before he passed away. God's love for me changed the way I saw my dad, myself and others. He made it possible for me to reconnect with some of the family I thought had abandoned me. He was able to remind me of who I truly am as a daughter of God.